Welcome to Create Your Midlife, the podcast where self-agency becomes the new feminine power. I'm Dr. Oksana Skidan, and every week we explore what it means to create your life by leading yourself with ease, clarity, and presence, one real conversation at a time. Let's be honest, midlife has terrible PR. Everyone warns you about it like it's some sort of horror movie. And by the way, it's quite timely with the Halloween right here, October 31st. You hit 40 and suddenly you're supposed to fall apart. Or buy a red car, or change your hair color, or move to Bali, or divorce your husband. But I'm here to tell you that's not how it goes. I lived through it, and I'm still living it. And the only scary thing about midlife is believing the noise around it. And here's something very interesting that I've discovered. The term midlife crisis, well, it wasn't even created for us. It came from a man, psychologist Elliot Jacques, coined it in 1965 after studying men who struggle with their sense of purpose after their careers peaked. It had nothing to do with women, nothing to do with what we feel, create, or experience. And yet we took it on like it was ours. We adopted it and we decided to use it as our guiding path. Well, it's not. Midlife for women isn't a crisis. It's creation. It's the season where you stop performing and start living. And let me be clear about performing because I've spent years and years of my life actually performing. I am a concert pianist by training and by my first education. There's nothing wrong with performing. But along with the content of performance comes the understanding of perfection, comes the understanding of I have to be better than I can ever possibly imagine. And that's where the tricky part comes in. So if you can figure it out how to perform without constantly striving for being perfect, then go forward and perform your life through if it's really, truly authentic, your own performance. But if you're trying to focus on performing picture perfect, somebody else thought an idea of your life, then that's not going to work. Especially not going to work in your midlife. So today I want to talk about 5 midlife scaries that I hear all the time. And I think they're kind of fundamental for us to move forward from this point. So the first one is midlife starts at 40. I actually got another day a comment on my social media, and a lady pointed out that, well, it doesn't start at 40, it starts at 35 because not everyone lives until they're 80. So, ladies, there's something I want to talk about with the numbers because, yes, in the medium platforms, you will see that we're again trying to be put into the number and into the box where midlife is supposed to be the middle of your actual life. And therefore, okay, well, now is the life expectancy, so we're going to be talking about midlife starting at 40. But I want to warn you that in my understanding, midlife is not a number. Midlife is the mindset. Midlife is when you realize that you're in a different season in your life. Something changed. For me, it didn't happen overnight, but all of a sudden I realized that something changed. And now I'm in a different chapter of my life. And the midlife term came natural. So if you're in your 40s and you're not feeling it, then don't. Don't try on something that is not yours because midlife is all about authenticity and what fits you, not what the society is pushing upon you. If you're wondering how will you realize that you're in midlife, there is a question that most likely will start appearing, and that would be, what's next? And that's the most wonderful and probably the most refreshing question that you can welcome into your life. Again, there's a lot of talk about that midlife is the time when you need to change yourself, you need to transform yourself, you need to reinvent yourself. And the question, what's next, could be a great platform to jump into all those narratives. But my experience looking back, the worst you can do is to rush into the answer and actually start looking around for an answer instead of turning inwards towards yourself, inside yourself, and start asking yourself what it means for you, what's next. So, number one, scary that people talk about midlife starts at 40. No. Midlife starts when you realize you're in it. And for me, to be honest with you, it started, I think, around 45, 46, when the question, as I mentioned, what's next, really became permanent. So stop worrying about that you're 40 and you're in midlife. And for sure, don't worry about if you are realizing that you're in midlife, because I think this is the most incredible, freeing season of your life that you can imagine. Second myth that I keep hearing is it's a crisis. Ladies, no. No, and something is very interesting about it, that if you want to believe that it's time for crisis, then yes, you will have midlife crisis. Because the way our brains work, we are starting to think or focus on something, we put a thought in there, excuse me, and the brain runs forward, visit, and it will find the reason why you should call your midlife as crisis. If you approach midlife as the period in your time when you will continue living by everybody else's rules, suggestions, wants, then midlife will not be as authentic, will not be as freeing. And at some point, you might realize that you are facing the dead end. Because to me, the word crisis itself means that something is falling apart and there is no answer yet. There's no way out. So there is a concept of this dead end of what do I do now? But if you're starting to feel that life that you're living right now is not really fitting your own vision, then this is a perfect time to start looking around and paying attention to how you're treating yourself in your own midlife season. Are you coming still as the very last one on the list? Do you put your own needs and wants at the very bottom on your to-do list after your grocery and after your all the other errands that you're running? Are you still structuring your day based on the needs of your family, your children, your co-workers, your job, your friends, you name it? Because midlife to me is the time when, alone with the question, what's next, we can start asking questions. What do I want for myself? How do I want to see this season? What do I want to create in today's day? How do I want to create my weekend? And if your brain right now is jumping into, well, I don't have time and I can't really start creating because I still have children that are middle school, high school, living with me. I have parents that I need to take care of. I have so many things that I need to attend to. It's okay, because this is the end of midlife. You are still busy. You are still doing everything that you want or you feel that you're obligated to do. However, you're starting to finding moments in this busy life when you're starting to ask your question, how do I want to structure that first a few minutes of my morning when nobody's awake yet? Or how do I want to spend 30, 40 minutes of my weekend when I am actually free? And you might not think about it this way, but start looking at the activities of everyone around you when they're starting to schedule their own things and leave the house, go to hang out with friends, and do other things outside of the house where you are not part. This could be your free moments to start creating your midlife. Another day, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she mentioned, well, maybe I should just wait until my kids leave and then I will start creating my life, paying attention to what it is I really want. And we came to a conclusion that no, the best time to start creating what you want is right here, right now, while your kids are still busy. In my case, my son is applying to colleges. He's busy with his future creation of his future life. And this is a picture perfect for me to start creating what I want, where I want to go in my next year, 2, 3, and so on forward. So start looking for open windows of opportunities for you to start answering the question, what do I want to do next? Once you start doing this, and we'll start looking at it from the creative point, because women are creative by nature. We're creating homes, we're creating businesses, we're creating holidays, we're endlessly creating. Even the dinner that you will serve and prepare tonight for your family, you're creating it. So creativity is in us. Now we just need to tune it in and see how we can use it in order to create our own life. So once you look at your midlife this way, it's never going to be crisis. The third myth, and this is actually the scariest, I think, phrase out of all that I've heard about midlife, and I've heard it very, very early on, just because I come from Ukraine, and there are certain phrases that if we don't use them the same way in Ukraine, then it really registers and it really somewhat settling or not settling with me when I'm hearing them in United States. And that's the phrase empty nest. Honestly, ladies, I can't believe it. First of all, the phrase comes from last century. It has nothing to do with the modern life of a modern midlife mom. That's first. Second, the visual image of the empty nest, I think it's a horror picture. And to think about it, I mean, you're looking at we're all visual, most of us are visual individuals. And as soon as I say empty nest, what do you see? You see the actual empty nest. No birds, no baby birds, nothing. What an awful, terrible image to drag with yourself into the time when your children are actually flying free forward, when they're experiencing their life on their own. The life that you've helped them to build, the life that you've helped them to create. And now, instead of being happy for them and flying in a momentum together with them while they're flying towards their higher education and new open future, you would be flying together with them, creating your next chapter. We're now cutting ourselves, tying to this horrible image of an empty nest. Please, please be on the watch out for this. Stop using it yourself. and encourage others around you to not use it as well. There are so many other phrases that we can use, that we can have. And I actually invite you to look at it maybe as your first homework from this podcast. If you're a child or children are about to go to college, about to start their new chapter in life, think, how do you want to call this period in their life and your life? You can come up with the phrase on your own. You can come up with the phrase together with them. But look at it again as a creative process. Come up with a phrase that would be yours, uniquely, authentically yours. And when you say it, it would actually give you a kick of energy, a kick of excitement, a kick of ability to move forward, to create something, to be active, to be happy for the time of life where you are. So, empty nest or empty nesters, it's the time to retire this phrase and start to creating the phrase that serves you and your children. I will be doing this with my son, and in the following up podcast, I will share it with you. But for now, see what suits you. See what phrase would resonate with you and with your children. The fourth myth is that after midlife, or actually after you enter your midlife, it's all downhill from here. Well, the truth is, actually, this is where the view gets really good. Let's stop pretending that aging is a tragedy. Yes, your body changes, my body changes as well. Our faces starting to tell different stories. But here's the thing. Those stories are proof of life, of everything you've lived, loved, and survived. Everything that our body is telling us when we look at ourselves in the mirror. That's who we are. That's what we lived through. That's our experience. That's our strengths. So to look at it as downhill from now, I think we're selling ourselves and allowing ourselves to let go of something so powerful and so strong. Instead of going with the narrative that we're declining, this is the time to fully embrace the power of who we are, the power of authenticity, the power of our own experience. The power of our own experience. I personally, to be honest with you, spent too many years judging parts of my body. I thought that some of them needed to be fixed. And then one day, I realized that those thoughts of certain parts of my body that needed to be fixed did not come from me. All those voices came from surrounding me external world, from my family, because they had certain expectations from the traditions and culture where they were living in and carrying forward. From my teachers, funny enough, I've been told that there are certain hairstyles that I should never use because my ears don't look perfect. There are so many things that we care from our early age without realizing that that's not our narrative. Nevertheless, we are holding on to it and attaching it to our bodies, and then trying to change our bodies instead of trying to and learning how to embrace and love our bodies. So midlife is when I finally learned to say, I have myself. I have my own body. I have my own face. I have my own wrinkles. And I have my own imperfections that actually make me who I am. Can you imagine if we all would be walking around looking exactly identically the same as the one to the left and the one to the right? But when we're starting to criticize our bodies that it's not right to our liking, then this is exactly what we want. We are subconsciously wishing to look like somebody else, that image that's been put in our head. So if you're surrounded by narrative, it's all downhill from here, this is the time to change the narrative. This is the time to start looking for proofs that it's actually the best time of where you are. This is the time when you're realizing that your body is your body. It carried you through your experiences and brought you here, and therefore, I think this is the time to accept it, to love it, to praise it. This is the time when your own individual style is actually growing wings and flying forward. This is the time when you want to be you every single day, more and more. So the narrative that it's all downhill from here is also very much outdated and being pushed upon us with the social media that pushing forward all the trends of the reinvention and change without bringing in the expertise, story, and all the past years of our lives that we went through and that made us who we are. The last myth that I want to talk to you about today is a very loud one. I see it everywhere. And this is actually the reason why I created Create Your Midlife method. Because the fifth myth reads as you need to reinvent everything. Look around you. As soon as we hit a milestone of not sure what to do next, it could be a question, what's next? It could be a question, am I happy where I am? It could be a question, I want more, how do I find that? There is always a very loud narrative around about that you have to reinvent yourself. And if you attach the midlife to it, then all the narrative falls into the prepared sequence of reinvent, transform, become a new you, anything but embracing who you are, and with embracing and acknowledging who you are, moving forward into your next days and years. The danger of reinvention and the danger of becoming a new you at the age of midlife, whenever it is you associated with it, I found is that when we're deciding to step into something completely new, then naturally with it, we go by almost canceling out and denying and crossing out of our experience all our past. So we end up being somebody new, but without past. And anyone at the age of midlife without a strong, supportive past will have issues with confidence, with self-trust, with self-support, even with self-knowledge, because if all of a sudden you decided that your past is not good enough to carry it forward, to move forward with it, well then how are you moving forward? What are you carrying forward? And if you moving forward as a completely clean page without all your years that you've had before, that's when you start finding yourself in a bit shaky, uncertain situation. Because by now, you've experienced so many things in your life that doesn't matter what it is you will be doing in the future in your life, you can tap into your past for modeling success, for lessons learning, for finding path of how you did it before, and if it worked, then copy and do it exactly the same way, for finding your own voice, for looking at the stories that you created and it helped you to move forward and allowed you to be where you are today. So that's why when women jump into becoming completely new self through the, you name it, there's 7-day program, 30-day program, again, there is a danger. It's a very kind of shiny, sexy invitation. But when you start thinking about it, it's quite lonely there when you are going forward as future you without anything of the past you and current you, because those are your strengths. Those are all your tools that you absolutely must have and need to have in order to create your midlife the way you want it. So, these are 5 midlife myths that I hear most often. There are others, and depends on your surroundings. You might be hearing others more often than this. There is one tool that I've discovered for myself that always helps. When I end up in the setting where a new information coming towards me and I'm not sure, I consciously ask myself to not accept it as it is and not try it, literally try it as you try new clothes on myself. Because I want to know, is this really this way or not? Is this something that fits who I am or not? And speaking of the past, again, I've had an excellent my own experience when I was pregnant with my child. And there were so many women around that wanted to share with me their stories and tell me and give me advice and what they think and how they're thinking and so on. And I somehow, it happened subconsciously, but then I realized it and I started using that model forward in my life. I would kindly and nicely ask them to not share that because I wanted to experience it on my own. I wanted it to experience without anyone else input and without anyone else noise and kind of like lenses that I will be looking through my own pregnancy because of what information now I have. So exactly the same with midlife. When somebody tell you that, ooh, aren't you worried about midlife? There are horror stories about menopause. Pause right there. Don't try that phrase on. Tell yourself, when the time will come, I will experience it myself and I will see what will work or not. When somebody will tell you that, ooh, you are heading towards midlife crisis, I know because all my friends are having midlife crisis. Again, stop. Consciously guide yourself towards the phrase where you will not necessarily contradict, not to fight with that, but kindly tell yourself, when the time will come, I will find out on my own. That's all that you need to do. All what it will do is allow you to create your own path, your own midlife, your own story. Because in the world where we live right now, the noise is so loud And there are so many other messages and stories that are flying around that if you will not learn and teach yourself how to decide what message you are taking, what message you are not, what message you are trying on, again, I want you to kind of get this as a visual. When you are going into the store to try a new outfit, you're not trying everything on. You know exactly what you usually buy, or you are trying something new as an experiment. But you don't just pull left and right and try it everything on just because it's there on the hangers. Exactly the same in a relation to midlife. Pause yourself and think twice if you really want to try on all the messages or you want to curate them and try only the ones that really, really fit your life, your own authentic, unique midlife. Thank you for listening to Create Your Midlife with me, Dr. Oksana Skidan. Take what resonated, leave what doesn't, and remember, the art of leading yourself is the new luxury of our century. You already have yourself, and that's where creation begins. I'll meet you here next week.